This is what the world's top 1% make in a year. And this is what the world's bottom 50% make in a year. And this is what the bottom 30% of Africans make in a year. These people live on less than $2 a day. I want to show you how the wealthiest people in Africa make their money versus the poorest people in Africa, and the different levels of income in between. The reason I want to look at this is because of this graph. It is going down, which is a good sign for Africa and everyone struggling to make money. So we're going to start with 500,000. The majority of the top 1% are usually millionaires, not billionaires. Billionaires like Dangote make millions of dollars a year. These people are the top 1% of the top 1%, which is a different level compared to making 500,000 a year. But to be clear, a 500 yearly income is still a huge amount compared to what 99% of Africans get. This amount is about 42,000 a month. If you convert this into any African currency, this number could be 10 times or 100 times higher. To reach the level of 500,000 yearly income in Africa, you either have to be lucky, extremely experienced, or a political elite. If you don't have those three, then hard work, years of effort, and qualifications will do. This explains why most people at this level are from age 45 to 65. These people are usually part of large industries like the telecommunications, banking, oil and gas, and real estate. They are the leaders who control these businesses but don't own them. Some large celebrities and entertainers can also reach this level. And as a side note, being a celebrity is the fastest way a person can move to be part of the top 1%. Alright, now we're gonna look at 250,000. This level of income is usually called the upper middle class. It encompasses only about 5% of the African population. These people are usually qualified with high degrees but are younger than the top 1%. They are from ages 35 to 55. This group includes high-ranking doctors, lawyers, engineers, corporate executives, and private consultants. This is the middle class. It is where most people in developed countries are, but in Africa, only about 15% of the African population falls into this category. This is about $2,000 a month. The age group here is much wider, from 30 to 60 years. These people are usually skilled in one trade but lack the education levels of the upper middle class. They are often local business owners, small-scale farmers, government employees, waiters, technicians, artisans, and tradespeople. They can easily step up to become upper middle class, but often prefer to live a stress-free, comfortable life, spending their free time and money on entertainment. Now we look at where the majority of Africans are, $5,000 per year. These are the working class of the economy, making up around 45% of the population in Africa. These people are aged 20 to 45. They usually work in manual jobs with little education or are beginners. They take 9 to 5 jobs or sometimes have informal businesses. People in this level work in jobs like cleaners, caretakers, and day laborers in constructions and agricultural. The types of jobs here are endless, from individuals selling goods in small quantity to large informal markets. The majority of this sector often work the hardest, sometimes holding 2 jobs just to get by. These are the people always in survival mode, often a month away from being homeless. They have bad credits and no investments. This is sad, truly sad. About 1/3 of the African population lives in extreme poverty, 429 million people. the highest number of people in poverty among all continents. 60% of all people in extreme poverty are in sub-Sahara Africa. These people live on $2.15 a day. They are usually young men aged 15 to 35 with no skills, support, or hope for the future. They have no jobs and rely on government or NGO assistance programs for survival. Others collect and sell recyclable materials from waste. Some resort to begging, and some are in isolated rural areas growing crops for family consumptions. This graph promises to eliminate poverty in Africa. Let me explain. A third of Africa's population is stuck in a place of struggle and hunger, but this won't be for long. In 1996, the poverty level in Africa was 46% of the population. Fast forward to 2024 and it is now only 35%. This was a slow reduction of extreme poverty over the last 30 years, but it is expected to accelerate in the next 30 years. By 2030, extreme poverty is expected to decrease faster, and according to the African Union Development Agency, 2056 to 2065, only 1.7% of people will live in extreme poverty in Africa. This will be an unrecognizable transformation, lifting approximately 380 million people out of poverty. So, is this possible? Can African governments achieve this in the next 40 years? Or is this just one of those impossible goals set by our leaders? It's unbelievable how different the wealthiest 1% are compared to the poorest 30% of the continent. Sometimes, to the average person, it almost seems like they are different species. But that's simply not true. The only difference between the wealthy and the poor are skills, environment, and time. If governments can create an environment of abundance and support these people with skills training, given time, the poorest can rise to the upper class of society. Yes, this graph will become the new reality for Africa.
Because there's enough money and wealth that no one has to go to bed hungry.